Welcome to the Sounds of Uruguay. Discover its unique music scene podcast.
Hello.
Today you've brought us, well, a really vibrant collection of sources. We're about to take a deep dive into the heart of Uruguay, really by exploring its unique musical landscape.
Yeah, exactly. Our mission, if you will, is to kind of unearth the most captivating insights into this sonic world.
It looks like a fascinating mix. We've got articles on iconic songs, must-hear albums,
Histories of jazz and rock, the cultural weight of tango and candombe.
and even a peek at the current music charts.
That's right. It's quite a collection, and hopefully we can help navigate it all.
Okay, let's get into it. Right from the start, how does music shape, Uruguayan identity? One article, 10 songs that talk about Uruguay. It really suggests music is fundamental.
Oh, absolutely fundamental. It talks about consolidating nationality, projecting the country's image. Themes like football, Montevideo, the flag, Candombe, carnival, even Artigas, the national hero. They just keep popping up.
It really sounds like a soundtrack to the nation's soul, doesn't it?
It does.
Mm.
And what's really interesting is how these songs tap into shared experiences.
Yeah.
Like Descolgando el Cielo by Edu Lombardo.
Right, the football one.
Yeah. It captures that collective passion, that unifying thing, especially with the chant, Soy, Celeste Soy. I am, sky blue I am. It cuts across everything.
That's powerful. And there was another one, Cielo de un solo color by No te va a gustar, linked to the flag.
Yes, and it carried this message of optimism, encouraging people to stay, to believe in the country. The lyrics speak about something still being alive, renewing hope. It hits deep, that national spirit.
It seems like these songs are actively building that shared identity through everyday stuff, too.
Totally. Look at Rubén Rada's Mi País. It's brilliant because it lists all these quintessential Uruguayan things. Drinking made, having bizcochos, dealing with ticket inspectors.
Yeah, the little things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And playing cards, dreaming of being champions. It creates this really strong emotional connection, especially, for Uruguayans living outside the country. It reminds them of home.
It's those specific details, isn't it? They build something real. And then there's the song about Montevideo.
Ah, Una Canción a Montevideo by Mauricio Ubal. Pretty much considered an anthem for the capital.
The lyrics sound quite poetic, infinite bayside roofs.
Yeah, very evocative. It really paints a picture of the city. And speaking of places, Himaruz's Durazno y Convención.
That's the one about a specific street corner.
Yeah, where he used to live. And now, apparently, it's a tourist spot. Just shows how a song can, make a place culturally significant.
Wow. Personal memory becomes collective landscape. And we can't forget Artigas, right? A Don Jose.
By Rubén Lina, often called the Artigas national anthem. It keeps the hero's spirit alive. Those lines about freedom, con libertad ni ofendo ni te temo, oriental in life and death. Very powerful.
It's amazing. Even artists from outside Uruguay pick up on these themes.
Apparently so. Armando Orefiche with El Carnaval del Uruguay, Leon Gecko with Uruguay. They reflect Uruguayan culture, too. Shows its resonance, I guess.
Okay, so individual songs are like cultural anchors. Let's zoom out a bit. Essential albums. That Uruguay list, 5 albums from Uruguay you absolutely must hear, sounds like a good place to go next.
Definitely. It's a great list. Shows the diversity. First up, Jaime Roos's Contraseña. It's highlighted for his takes on other Uruguayan artists' songs.
Oh,
And importantly for using carnival harmonies, known as Murga.
Murga harmonies. Tell me more about that.
Well, think close vocal harmonies, often satirical lyrics, very rhythmic, tied deeply to carnival. It's theatrical, often has social commentary. And the video for Contraseña was filmed in Montevideo's Old City, adding another layer.
Sounds vibrant. What else is on that must-hear list?
Eduardo Mateo's Mateo Solo Bien Se Lame. This one's presented as really influential, groundbreaking even.
Why is that?
He pioneered blending local candombe rhythms into the rock scene that was just starting up, created something called candombe beat.
Candombe beat. Okay, we need to remember that term.
Yeah, imagine those complex candombe drum patterns under rock structures. It gives it this unique, syncopated feel. Apparently, Mateo faced struggles, but his rhythmic ideas were revolutionary.
Fascinating. Blending worlds like that. What about more recent stuff on the list?
Ana Prada's Soja Picadora. It's described as the modern face of Uruguayan folk. She mixes acoustic and electronic sounds with traditional rhythms like milonga and chamamé.
Milonga, chamamé, traditional folk rhythm.
Yeah, popular in the region. Milonga's often got that strong 24 or 44 pulse. Chamamé has indigenous and European roots, often features accordion. Prada shows how these traditions are still evolving.
Respect for the past, but looking forward. I like that. And El Club de Toby, that sounds intriguing.
It really is a classical string quartet doing their own arrangements of pop and rock from the River Plate area.
String quartet, wow.
And they won a graffiti prize, Uruguay's Grammy equivalent for instrumental music.
Yeah.
They apparently started out playing on the street, Sarandi. Pretty cool story.
Definitely curious to hear that. And the last one on the list.
El Príncipe's El Recital. It's a live album recorded with El Club de Toby. Known for poetic, positive lyrics. He was getting really popular before he sadly passed away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but apparently his daughter keeps his music alive today, which is quite lovely.
That's a beautiful legacy. This list really gives a great snapshot, doesn't it? Quality and diversity.
For sure. Now, moving beyond specific albums, Candombe keeps coming up in the sources. Its cultural importance seems immense.
Right. Originated with African slaves, Montevideo as its birthplace, UNESCO recognition too.
Exactly. Intangible cultural heritage of humanity. That tells you something about its significance. It's way more than just music.
So how is the rhythm actually made?
It's ensembles called cuerdas, using 3 main drum sizes: tambor repique, tambor chico, and tambor piano.
Okay, 3 drums.
Each one has a specific job played with a hand and a stick. Creates this incredibly complex, driving polyrhythm.
And you can still experience it traditionally, those Sunday night parades.
Yeah, the llamadas de tambores, the calls of the drums. Supposedly, the purest form is in Montevideo's Barrio Sur and Palermo neighborhoods, especially down Isla de Flores Street. Spontaneous parades, drums tuned over fires. It sounds amazing.
A century-old tradition led by community elders. That's incredible. Are there different styles?
Yep, 3 basic ritmos madre, or mother rhythms. Toque de Quarim from Barrio Sur, which is slower. Then Toque de Encina from Palermo and Toque de Cordon from Barrio Cordon, both faster. They connect to the neighborhood's identities.
Fascinating, tied to place like that. But Candombe didn't just stay traditional, right? It fused with other genres.
Not at all. It strongly influenced rock and jazz. Think pioneers like El Quinto and Opa back in the 60s and 70s.
Connecting back to that Candombe beat idea.
Precisely. And leader artists like Rubén Rada, Jaime Rus, they kept integrating it. Even tango musicians over in Argentina borrowed candombe rhythms. It really spread.
Shows its power and versatility. And there are specific figures in the tradition, too. Mama Vieja.
Yes, symbolic figures. Mama Vieja is like the elder spiritual guide wisdom figure. Cramiero is the herb man, the healer. And Escobero, the broom man, symbolically clears the path. They represent deep aspects of Afro-Uruguayan culture.
This is all just so rich and, well, alive. You know, if all this talk about the sounds and culture is sparking something, maybe making you think about experiencing it yourself, why not check out the possibilities of actually living in Uruguay? You can visit realestate-uruguay.com to explore properties there.
Good point. Okay, so what about the sounds of Uruguay today? The Shazam Top 200 chart gives us a little glimpse.
Right, what does that show? That's a global stuff, I imagine.
Yeah, you see Latin pop, reggaeton, international hits for sure. That's normal. But what's interesting is seeing artists like the La Planta pop up multiple times. They blend cumbia with other urban sounds. Suggests a strong local flavor still breaks through.
Okay, so local artists are holding their own even with global trends. Any other takeaways from the charts?
Well, you also see collaborations between big international names in Uruguayan artists, like Lucra working with locals. It shows that cross-border connection and influence is happening too.
That makes sense. A mix of global and local. Now, let's dig into Uruguayan rock history. The Wikipedia source seemed pretty detailed.
Oh, it's a rich history. Started really kicking off with the Beatles' arrival in the early 60s. That sparked a wave of local bands.
Leading to the Uruguayan invasion.
Yeah, of Argentina. Mid-60s, bands like Los Shakers, Los Mockers got really popular across the river. They took those international sounds and ran with them.
And then the early 70s, that rock boom, that's when El Quinto and Totem were mixing rock with Candombe, creating that unique sound.
Exactly, that candombe beat again. That era was absolutely crucial for forging a distinct Uruguayan rock identity, mixing global sounds with local roots.
But the dictatorship in 73 must have hit the scene hard.
It did, significantly. Suppressed it for a while. But rock reemerged strongly after democracy returned in 85. Bands like Los Estomagos were key then.
And the 90s brought another big wave. El Cuarteto de Nos? La Vela Puerca? I've heard of them?
Yeah, they became hugely influential, not just in Uruguay, but regionally, internationally too. They really cemented Uruguayan rock's place.
And it's kept evolving since.
Absolutely. Bands like No Te Va Gustar in the 2000s have gained massive recognition, even outside Latin America. It shows the genre is still growing, still vibrant.
Quite a journey for Uruguayan rock. What about jazz? the blog and Reddit sources paint a slightly different picture, maybe?
Well, there's definitely appreciation. International Jazz Day is celebrated, often at the Teatro Solis in Montevideo, and there's the International Jazz Festival in Punta del Este. So there's infrastructure and enthusiasm.
Making a living just playing jazz is tough. That's what the Reddit thread suggested.
Yeah, that seems to be the reality. It touches on the economics. Many jazz musicians might need to teach privately or work abroad sometimes, or teach in schools to make ends meet.
Hmm.
There are venues, there are dedicated players, but maybe the bigger audiences and more consistent work are in genres like tropical music, Murga, and folklore, which isn't unique to Uruguay, really. That happens in lots of places with less mainstream genres.
True. Highlights the passion involved. Okay, let's touch on tango. Shares history with Argentina, obviously, but Uruguay has its own claim, right? La Cumparsita.
Absolutely. The source from Academia Uruguay points that out. It's deeply tied to that late 19th century immigrant story in the River Plate.
Yeah.
And key Uruguayan figures, well, Carlos Gardel, who later claimed Uruguayan birth.
Ah, yes, the Gardel debate.
Right. And Julio Sosa, a hugely important singer. And themes like the milonga, that faster precursor, and the arrabal, the city outskirts where it grew, those are core to tango on both sides of the river. But Uruguay definitely has its own heroes and its own crucial contributions, like La Cumparsita, maybe the most famous tango ever.
So shared roots, but a distinct Uruguayan heartbeat within tango.
Exactly. And all this points to something one source called musical fusion. That seems key to Uruguay's whole musical identity.
A melting pot.
Yeah, European influences, meeting local traditions, Candombe, Tango, Milonga, Murga. Music Uruguay natural really emphasizes this cultural blend, creating these unique genres.
And circling back to that Reddit point about economics, it seems it's not just jazz, but maybe rock and metal musicians also face challenges making a full-time living just from performing.
That's the suggestion. Active scenes exist, but profitability can be tough. Teaching seems common across different genres as a way to sustain things, relying on networks.
Well, genres like tropical, Murga, folklore maybe have that broader internal appeal.
Seems that way, yeah. More opportunities perhaps within the country for those styles. But again, the passion across the board seems undeniable.
Definitely. And if people want to experience this music live, we mentioned the Candombe Amadas.
Yes, Sunday nights in Barrio Sur and Palermo.
Yeah.
Essential. Plus the live venues Uruguay mentioned, the Jazz Festival in Punta del Este.
Even that street corner, Durazno y Convención.
Right, the music is physically tied to these places. You can really immerse yourself.
Okay, let's try to wrap this up. Taking a step back from all these details, what does it all mean? Your sources paint a picture of a country where music is just incredibly intertwined with identity, with daily life.
Absolutely. It's not just background noise. From Candombe, this UNESCO treasure with all its history and social context, to tango, sharing roots, but with its own Uruguayan soul. It's a seriously rich tapestry.
And we explored the whole evolution of Uruguayan rock, the dedicated jazz scene, the power of folk traditions like Murga and Milonga.
And the lyrics. So many songs seem to offer this direct line into the culture, sparking strong feelings, a sense of belonging.
It's clear that, yeah, maybe there are economic hurdles for some musicians, but the passion, the creativity, it's undeniable. That fusion of cultures really has produced something special, and it's still evolving.
It really has. And, this deep dive makes you think. If this vibrant culture and these sounds resonate with you, if you're curious about experiencing Uruguay more deeply, maybe even making it home, well, that website, realestate.uruguay.com, is there to explore property options.
A great point. So hopefully this exploration has given everyone a real sense of Uruguay's incredible musical landscape. Thank you for joining us on this journey. For more information on Uruguay and maybe the chance to make it your home, do visit realestate-uruguay.com.
Thanks for listening.
And thank you for listening to The Sounds of Uruguay. Discover its unique music scene podcast.